So, this is important to remember. In the Odyssey, we learn there is a prophecy as told to us by King Alcinous, who is, of course, Nausicaa's father. And he says, oh yeah, no, my father, heard a prophecy, totally wild, that, if we helped, a stranger or whatever, Poseidon would come and, ruin our ships and drop a mountain on us, basically. Well, sure enough, after magically getting Odysseus home, because again, the ships of the Phaeacians are basically magic. They get you somewhere by thought and almost immediately. On their way back, Poseidon turns that ship to stone, and the Phaeacians see this. And Alcinous is like, oh shit, the prophecy is here, it's coming. Okay, great. Let's sacrifice some bulls to Poseidon, because that'll totally ward off the rest of the prophecy. But as we know, in Greek mythology, when there's a prophecy, when there is fate, there's no fighting it. Scholars suspect what they're talking about is the destruction of this seafaring people when the volcano Mount Thera actually, blew. And so there it goes. Goodbye, death by volcano. All of this is happening prior to the slaughter of the suitors, which means Nausicaa is dead, well before Telemachus could ever potentially marry her. However, when you start skedaddling your way down through to the classical sources, you start seeing scholars writing what are essentially academic commentaries on the Homeric epics. They get called kind of scholias. And this is a very common practice. We see that even to this day. And one thing that gets brought up in a lot of the classical sources is this idea of poetic couplets, where two characters are kind of paralleled with each other, whether it be their journey or their actions. And one parallel that got brought up are the sort of journeys of maturation that happen between Telemachus and Nausicaa. So people essentially become the OG fan shippers and saying Telemachus and Nausicaa are OTP because look at this poetic trajectory they both go on. Except it's wait, Skye is destroyed. It's kaboom, goodbye. But then later you get this source, this supposed diary of this guy who is a friend of Idomeneus of Crete, a character who gets mentioned in the Odyssey. And not only does he repeat what was said by these scholia writers in the classical age, you then also get him referencing the telegony or the telegony. It's a mess. There's no other way to put it. But essentially, if you look at the origin of where this idea of Telemachus and Nausicaa comes from, it is scholars writing analysis about the Odyssey, except everybody seems to forget the Odyssey is telling you the Phaeacians are destroyed before the start of the slaughter of the suitors. I realize this is not my usual 60 seconds, but I had to explain the absolute rabbit hole you go down trying to hunt down where these things come from. And shout out to Mariana, who truly did the work in diving into the rabbit hole while she and I were then in DMs with our heads spinning over this.